Hey, I'm the Wolfmaan. I'm here today at Balls Falls Conservation Area. Balls Falls is managed by the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. There is a fee to get in here, and there's all sorts of historic buildings. Sometimes there's craft shows and other things that go on. Now, Balls Falls has two separate waterfalls. There's an upper falls and a lower falls. Today we're going to go visit the lower falls, which is a little bit more challenging to come and visit. Our journey today begins at the 20 Valley Trail. We're going to follow this trail system, which piggybacks part of the Bruce Trail, and then we're going to separate from it and reach the base of the falls. This area is filled with beautiful Carolinian forest. The trail is going to take me down into this valley, which you can see has all sorts of large moss-colored boulders and huge trees which reach up for the sky. The canyon walls beside me here are really quite steep. Laying right beside the trail is evidence of the windstorms that have been swept through the area in the last couple of months. Species of fern grow everywhere in Carolinian forest. One of the great things about the southern Ontario area is that we have an abundance of these ferns which will be found nowhere else. They don't normally grow in boreal forests, but they only grow in this area. All around me in this area of the trail, you're going to see giant chunks of rocks. I'm standing on one here. You can see some behind me. You can even see some over my shoulder. At some point, from the gorge above, these giant chunks of rocks broke loose and would have tumbled down the rocks and the hills to land right here. Imagine what a spectacular sight that would be if you were standing in the area when one of these giant chunks broke loose. As we're getting closer to the base of Balls Falls, we get a little bit closer to the water's edge here. We can see all sorts of small rapids that cascade around. So this is the end of where we're going to be on the Bruce Trail. The Bruce Trail heads off this way, but I want to follow along the waterfall right to get to the base of Balls Falls. So from here on in, we're going to be off trail. This rock face has slowly eroded away over the years and taken some of the trees with it. You can see how this tree has had to change direction in order to cope with its eroding foundation and survive in these conditions. Following along the riverbed, I noticed that the area starts to go up and around, and we can't continue this way. So I'm going to have to attempt to make this river crossing and head to the other side. As soon as I cross the little stream, I notice somebody has taken the time to make themselves a little cook center. They've even left behind some pots and pans in case somebody in the future wants to use them. These large cliffs which edge the little creek often eject large chunks of rock that fall down onto the bottom, as we can see here. Now this hole in the rock is actually created by a glacier. When the glaciers were in this area and they receded about 10 or 15,000 years ago, the small rocks and debris that were in the liquid water would have ended up taking rocks like this and then turning them around and around and around and basically carving this hole in the rock. You'll see this all throughout any area that was once covered by glaciers. Not too often that we have this happen. Look at the size of this rock. Nestled in the rocky areas and the back eddies of this little creek, you actually find clay that has come to the surface and got stuck together and made this little tiny foamy thing. Look at the way it just spins round and round. Rounding a small corner in the ravine, we come to the base of Lower Balls Falls. think of rock as something that's really hard and tough and can take a lot of abuse. But the rock here is called sedimentary rock, which is layers and layers of silt and sediment that's built up over thousands of years. And as you can see, this rock is really, really soft. It doesn't take much to send it flying to get it out of where it is. Now this makes for really quick removal by water and things like that, and makes these canyons that we're in with this falls really quite large. Sedimentary rock lays everywhere here in little pieces. I can see it on these canyon walls beside me. I can see it on the ground. It's absolutely everywhere. Seeing that over time, the waterfall basically just erodes and breaks the rock down into smaller pieces. All sorts of weird stuff ends up coming over the fall, including this. This is actually the bumper of the car. Must have come off an accident, somehow got in the river, and ended up going over. Bases of waterfalls are always a treat for birds and other wildlife. As you can see here, they found a crayfish. I bet he must have tasted real good. Humans have always had a love affair with waterfalls. It stands to reason then that the late 1700s, early 1800s, when automation swept through the Niagara area, we put these to good use. There used to be a grist mill located at the top of Lower Balls Falls, and what that used to do is take power from the water and turn wheels of the grist mill to generate power and automation. Now that grist mill is long since gone, and there's just a few small remnants of it left. This area also was battered by war. During the War of 1812, British soldiers moved in to protect this area from the Americans. Now, as we all know, Britain ended up pushing the Americans back to the 49th parallel, but that's history. Absolutely love visiting waterfalls. I hope you've enjoyed this trip to Lower Balls Falls. I'm the Wolfman. Thanks for watching.